Hey guys, welcome to Raw vs SmackDown, where we look at both shows for the week and we see which one won for the week. Now, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, why not like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. Now that's all finally said and done, let's get on with the review. Let's hit the music. So we started off the show with a championship match. That's right, it was a 24/7 championship match between R-Truth and Carmella taking on Drake Maverick and his wife. Interesting type of match, really. It was called a mosh pit match. Very interesting. Pretty much you had Drake Maverick's wife dressed up looking like the 24/7 championship, which was great. She is a professional wrestler. They didn't really indicate that. It's just kind of like, oh, she's in this match, and it's like, oh, she's such a big linchpin to the Drake Maverick R-Truth storyline. It kind of made sense. The match itself was nothing too spectacular, but it was just a funny whole round segment. I don't know why they called it a mosh pit. It was like a lumberjack kind of match. We had superstars all around the ring. R-Truth and Carmella wrapped themselves, did their rap, the R-Truth rap, into the ring, and then we started off the match. Pretty much Drake Maverick and his wife really didn't get that involved in the match. Carmella super kicked Drake Maverick. R-Truth got the pinfall, and then obviously all the superstars who were like the lumberjacks got into the ring and tried to pin R-Truth. Everyone piled on top of R-Truth, and Mike Kanellis came out on top as the new 24/7 champion. He literally pegged it out of the arena and he locked himself in to a official's dressing room. His wife Maria, him and Maria have had like probably one of the most interesting segments going on in WWE for a while. She tells Mike to unlock the door. He does, because pretty much she threatens to kick him in the vagina, which I found really funny. Later on in the show, she does make Mike lay on the floor so she can pin him, and she can become not just the new 24/7 champion, the first ever pregnant 24/7 champion. Does that mean her and the baby are the champion? I'm guessing so. But yeah, she's now the new 24/7 champion. All the superstars were too scared to pin her, and this is really good. It's great heel. I know a lot of people were stating, oh, Maria and Mike are in trouble or something with this kind of storyline, but no, I think this is a push. This is a push. Both of them have held championships now on the main roster, especially on Raw. So I really enjoyed this. So I'm going to give this whole segment a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had a gauntlet match. This was interesting. We had Rey Mysterio, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Andrade, and Ricochet all taking part in this gauntlet match. The winner of the gauntlet match will take on AJ Styles at SummerSlam. We started off with Rey Mysterio and Cesaro, and this was a hell of a matchup. I really enjoyed. Both men were absolutely competitive. This was probably the longest match out of all the gauntlet matches, but my god, they really put on for me, a very strong TV show match. Cesaro and Rey trying to pull off their big moves. Rey trying to hit the 619 a few times on Cesaro. Never really got to connect because Cesaro is just, again, he's a powerhouse kind of character. Again, I really enjoyed how well they built up the Cesaro and Rey Mysterio match in just in this one whole match. It was great storytelling in the match alone. Rey did manage to finally pin Cesaro after a long period of time. It seemed like Rey was absolutely out of it. Next up came none other than Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn comes running out. It seems like Sami's really in a very big rush to pin Rey Mysterio. But no, Rey manages to quickly pin Sami Zayn. Sami just goes absolute berserk. A few officials have to carry him away, and this leads on to Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. Again, these two, we've seen how good the chemistry were when they were both on SmackDown Live last year, and again the chemistry just continues to show. Andrade for me is one of those guys who is a future superstar. He is a future world champion, and having absolutely fantastic matches against guys like Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, and other guys like that, he's just absolutely elevating himself to that next level. Obviously, Rey Mysterio is absolutely completely beaten at this point, and Andrade does manage to hit the hammerlock DDT. Next up was Ricochet, the former United States champion. To be honest, Andrade had complete control against Rey, so it didn't seem like Andrade had lost a lot of energy in that match. So him and Ricochet kind of had a dream kind of match for me between the two of them, and they did have a decent match as well. Not as long a period as Cesaro and Rey Mysterio, but again, it was such a good free TV match. I was very, very much impressed with both superstars. Ricochet did finally manage to hit Andrade with a 054, and he gets the victory, and he will be taking on AJ Styles at SummerSlam. Talking about AJ Styles, he was watching this whole match, doing the side pose like that, watching on from the side. So, I don't know why WWE do that, but he was watching on and he seemed quite impressed with Ricochet. I really, really enjoyed the gauntlet match. I think everyone who competed was absolutely fantastic in it. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Next up, we had a triple threat tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championship, and that was the Usos versus the Revival versus the OC, Gallows and Anderson. And this was a really good match. At the start, we had the Revival and the Usos controlling the majority of the match, which is good because both teams have great chemistry. So again, this is fun. Finally, when Gallows and Anderson finally got involved in the match, they became the dominant team. Gallows and Allen, for me, the Big Gallows is just an absolute beast. The guy has so much power, and he's one of those guys who, for me, is so underrated in WWE. And same again with Karl Anderson. He, again, an underrated superstar in WWE. If you remember in the club, this feels like they're back in Bullet Club when they were just dominating tag teams, and that's how it felt when they took on two of the best tag teams on Raw, and they came out on top. Yes, Gallows and Anderson, so many near pinfalls. You had it where the Usos nearly pinned the Revival, you then had the Revival pinning Gallows and Anderson, you then had it just, again, a triple threat match when you got three great teams working together. It's just great chemistry. And again, we had something which was a shock. We had Gallows and Anderson winning the Raw tag team. So the OC now have pretty much nearly all the gold on Raw, and that's quite cool. Now ask Maria Kanellis to join the OC, and then you got pretty much everything, and just hope someone pins Brock Lesnar at some point. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was that surprise title change as well, which you wasn't expecting. So for me, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Entertaining match, and all three teams looked absolutely brilliant. Next up, we had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and they were hosting a Moment of Bliss. This was pretty much this is what's happened, and it was kind of like, oh, you all love Becky, but this is the truth about Becky Lynch. And it was footage from earlier on in the day when Natalya was training with Fit Finlay and some other talent, and she was trying to work out how to get out of Becky Lynch's disarmer. But she was attacked by Becky Lynch from behind, and she forced her into the disarmer. Becky comes onto the big screen. She challenges Alexa Bliss to a match that night. I'll talk about the match itself a little bit later, but I thought this was quite interesting, showing a much more heel kind of Becky Lynch than we've been to see. Yes, Becky's always kind of had that in the middle, but this time around she seems very much beyond babyface, like, oh, we still love her, but she was very much a heel throughout this whole bit. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. It led up to a match later on, but it really showcasing how much of how much to the dark side Becky Lynch is ready to go to defend her Raw Women's Championship. Next up, we had the Viking Raiders versus some local talent yet again. I'm not sure why we're putting the Viking Raiders, who are a very awesome, destructive tag team, into a squash match. They had a match against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins last week at Raw Reunion, and now they're back to taking on Lucas. I just don't get it. For me, I would like them to take on legitimate tag teams in the Raw. They are undefeated right now, so for me, you gotta do something with that. Like, it's getting closer to SummerSlam, and they need to do something. So for me, I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. I just feel like it's a waste of time for the fans and the Viking Raiders, having them just completely squash local talent for so long. Next up, we had the Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss match. Again, this was an interesting match. Not, again, like I stated in the Becky Lynch Alexa Bliss Moment of Bliss segment, Becky was very much close to going to the dark side, the heel side of this for the storyline. And again, she did it again during the match against Alexa Bliss. You weren't really sure who she was, is she a face, is she not a face? Alexa, again, who is the heel, was very much kind of, for a little bit, felt like a babyface. She felt really vulnerable to Becky Lynch. Nikki Cross did get involved in the match as well, which, Nikki Cross getting a little bit heelish herself in this. The referee did end the match after Alexa tweaked her leg. She did stay out after this because Becky challenged her. Well, she got challenged by Nikki Cross. She accepted the match, and both women went all at it. Again, it looked like Becky was going to control this match as well against Nikki Cross. Again, I want to see a proper competitive match against Becky Lynch and Nikki Cross. I saw it in Manchester back in November, where Nikki was like a surprise and she came out, and the fans went crazy when Nikki Cross finally turned up on SmackDown Live. But I want to see that kind of match again. Both women have great chemistry against each other, but no, Becky was very much the dominant one in this match. Alexa Bliss, surprise miracle, managed to run straight back into the ring and help Nikki Cross beat down on her opponent with Nikki Cross. This ended the match in DQ. So I'm going to give this, the Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross match with Becky, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I think it's definitely interesting to see Becky in more dominant kind of heel status, but I just want to see where this goes. Next up, we had Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, this is probably the biggest talking point from Raw this week, and the reason it is because the match itself kind of made no sense for how it started. Obviously, we all saw Dolph Ziggler super kick Shawn Michaels in the face last week on a Miz TV special. Seth was defending the honor of Shawn because he was an honorary member of the... I don't get it. But yeah, we had Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler, a match we've seen a few times. A little bit, earlier on last year, when they were fighting it out for the Intercontinental Championship. Again, both guys have chemistry. It was a good match from the start, and then the match completely got forgotten about when none other than the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar turned up. No, I don't think anyone, not even the crowd, was expecting Brock Lesnar to turn up at this taping of Raw. Maybe, next week when it's the week before, SummerSlam, but not this one. He comes out, he pretty much beats the living crap out of Seth Rollins. Dolph does get involved a little bit, but yeah, he destroys Seth Rollins. German suplexes outside the ring, a German suplex inside the ring, an F5 on the ring post, an F5 on the steel chair. I think it was 3 times he F5, and this is great. This is like, oh my god, what is going on? Because it's legitimately every time. There's no protection on that one, so you could see the chair going into Seth's side. And I was like, oh my god, this is Brock Lesnar is killing Seth Rollins right now. You have Heyman begging Brock to stop as well, which really adds tension to their storyline. Like, even Paul Heyman, a greaseball like himself, is telling Brock Lesnar he needs to stop. And he finally stops, he walks away, and all you see is a pretty much a beaten, destroyed Seth Rollins with blood coming out of his mouth. Wow. This has just elevated Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar to another level. I think this has really made this match more exciting for the fans. And it didn't even stop there. So we had a backstage segment. The ambulance crew are taking Seth away. He's getting in the ambulance. The ambulance is about to drive off. And what happens? Brock Lesnar stops the ambulance, drags Seth Rollins out on the gurney, and just attacks him again before he walks away. I was so impressed with this segment. I think Brock Lesnar was just absolutely the beast which he is. So for me, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. While Brock Lesnar was killing Seth Rollins backstage, we also had Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, the Usos, and the OC, Gallows and Anderson, attacking each other. It was a mass brawl. We were supposed to have a Samoan summit, but that didn't happen. Samoa Joe gets to the ring. He calls out Roman Reigns. Him and Roman start brawling against each other. Drew McIntyre gets involved. The OC get involved. The Usos get involved, and then Cedric Alexander turns up, and this was brilliant. This was like, oh my god. You know what I like when it's like a beatdown. Now if we got this, it just kind of like engulfs like several storylines in one. So it was like, oh my god, you know, this is about to happen. Oh my god. And it worked. For me, it actually worked. And the reason it worked is because it's got the tag team match kind of put together. Cedric versus Drew is put into this, and it looks like Roman and Samoa Joe, but we'll talk about that on the SmackDown review as well. But yeah, this beatdown, the baby faces came out on top, and for me, I really enjoyed it. I do like when sometimes you have that mass brawl thing for the ending of a show. So for me, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Now this moves us on to SmackDown Live for this week, where we had an opening video from Shane O'Mac. Shane stating that he can't be there because his life coach has told him he needs a break from being the best in the world, and he's going to have some time to himself. Pretty much he's going to watch on at home, but he's going to meditate and all this. Like, yeah, great heel video from Shane O'Mac. Then Kevin Owens comes out, he cuts a promo against the bloody video, which he sees, and again KO is just entertaining. Both guys just work it so well that you just go, damn, for me, this is working. KO's talking about how, well, oh, we should all run out of buildings because Shane O'Mac's not here, he's not going to be on TV, what's the point of watching SmackDown Live? Literally killing Shane O'Mac. Great promo work from Kevin Owens, and then he goes, no, we can finally concentrate on what really matters, the wrestlers themselves. Obviously this caused Drew McIntyre to come out and said, well, you do have a match tonight, Kevin. Shane organised this before the show, I'm going to take Q1. Pretty much, is Drew McIntyre now part of SmackDown Live because he spends more time on SmackDown than he does on Raw? So for me, why don't you just make him an official member of SmackDown and just, you know, just say it was a trade or something. Just do something like that. But yes, this led on to Kevin Owens versus Drew McIntyre. So for the opening segment where we had Shane's video package and Kevin's promo against the video, I'm just going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. I found this actually quite interesting and a different way to start the show. This led on to possibly one of the best matches of the night on SmackDown Live, which was Kevin Owens versus Drew McIntyre. And the reason I stated this is because, hell, it had a lot of time on TV. And these two guys deserve it. They are hard workers. Drew McIntyre is an absolute beast, and this was probably one of the best matches I've seen him in some time. It didn't feel like Drew could lose. He actually felt like Kevin was the most likely to lose this match. Even though Kevin Owens is on a hot streak right now, it did feel like Drew McIntyre was the more dominant one. And it was great to see. Both guys are heavy hitters. They both use power moves. And to be honest, it's a nice little change sometimes to keep Drew McIntyre away from guys like Roman Reigns. But the match itself was absolutely fantastic. I think we had like it felt like 20 minutes. to this match, which was great. KO did win. He hit the stunner, which is always good, and it gave the fans a massive pop when he pinned Drew McIntyre. So for me, I'm going to give the match itself a 3 out of 5 stars. I think both guys had a fantastic showing. Again, like I said, it was such a good match and so tight, you just didn't know who was going to win. Next up, we had Aleister Black doing a backstage promo yet again. The need for another fight as a return for Aleister, and he talks about his match against Cesaro. Again, possibly one of the best matches of the night against Cesaro, and now he's saying he's ready for another fight. I love this Aleister Black, where if he's not gonna be in a match in somewhere on SmackDown Live, they're gonna build it up as the more he has a match, the more and more time he doesn't have a match just makes him frustrated until finally he's ready to snap. He does get an answer, and this is later on in the show when Sami Zayn turns up onto Raw. Luckily enough, Sami wasn't having a match. He was backstage and he cut a quick promo again, stating he is going to take on Aleister Black at SummerSlam, because he sees that Aleister Black is a lost soul and he needs to be put away for his own good. This is actually really good. I think if you've seen Sami versus Nakamura when they were at NXT, well, Sami's last match and Nakamura's first match, I think it could be at that level, one of the matches of the year, if done right. I think Aleister Black and Sami Zayn are two absolutely talented superstars. If you give them 20 minutes, 25 minutes, they will steal the show at SummerSlam. So I'm really looking forward to this. So for me, I'm going to give this promo it's hard to say, because if it can interact properly, but I like that it was Sami who took on the challenge, so I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Ember Moon and Bayley versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in a tag team match. Again, this was quite. I keep saying again, this was quite a good, but this was actually quite a good match. Because Ember Moon and Bayley, obviously they're kind of butting heads, with Ember being the #1 contender to the SmackDown title, Bayley being the SmackDown Women's Champion, and you know, it's kind of like these two are friends, but right now they're trying their best to take each other out. And this is probably one of the most quieter build for the women's division which has been going on, so I really like that. Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss have fantastic chemistry and they looked really well together. It's amazing how quickly Alexa's leg healed up from Raw the night before. But yes, Bayley and Ember had a bit of a miscommunication. Alexa Bliss managed to pin Ember Moon. Bayley gets in the ring it looks like she's about to hug her friend and say, "Don't worry about it, we'll get over this defeat," and instead she gives her Bayley to belly suplex, and she's over Ember Moon over with the title. I thought this was a great little turn. I was expecting Bayley to just be the old Bayley, but again, I like the new Bayley. I like that Bayley is, I will be your friend, but unless you're my #1 contender, my challenger, it ain't gonna happen. So again, good match. The heels winning was the right choice. Maybe Alexa Bliss gets added to SmackDown 1. I hope not. I want it to be Nikki. But I'm going to give this match a 2.5 out of 5 anyway. Next up, we had a Hall of Fame King's Court special, where we had Jerry the King Lawler back. It's always good to see the King. And Trish Stratus as well. It kind of was obvious after last week when Charlotte was talking about how she's going to have a SummerSlam match, and it's going to be the biggest women's SummerSlam match at SummerSlam. And this was great. Jerry was talking about how last week they were at Raw Reunion and unfortunately Trish couldn't make it because she was away with family, and he was talking about how old superstars talking about one more match, and he asked Trish, "Could you do one more?" And she said, "No, I'm a mum. I've done that. I've had it. I don't need to do it again." Obviously, this was like an intro for Charlotte to come out. Charlotte comes out great. This is how good Charlotte is as a heel. She comes out. She bosses the King to open the ropes for her. She challenges Trish Stratus. She gives a hell of a promo against Trish, stating how much better she is and how she's blazed the way for women's wrestling. And Trish had nothing really to do with it. Trish obviously fights back, stating, you know what, no, without me and people like Lita and Beth Phoenix, there wouldn't be a Charlotte Flair. And again, so true. And both women get at each other, and Trish accepts Charlotte's challenge at SummerSlam. Then Trish slaps Charlotte across the face. I really like this. It's good to see the King. It was a good build-up. We all knew why Trish was there, but it makes it exciting. Trish versus Charlotte at SummerSlam. Could not wait. I'm going to give this segment a 2.5 out of 5. Earlier on in the show on SmackDown Live, we had a Dolph Ziggler backstage interview, and he talked about why he attacked Shawn Michaels, stating that, you know, people always called him a second bit Shawn Michaels and all of this lot, and he's glad he had finally got rid of that Shawn Michaels thing, and he was happy that he took out Shawn Michaels. Then he also talked about his opponent Finn Balor, stating that, you know, Finn's a great talent, but I'm going to take him out as well. Then before the match started, we had the Firefly Funhouse where Bray Wyatt, Rabbity Rabbit give a warning to Finn, saying, Finn, you're an extraordinary guy who can do extraordinary things, but the Fiend is no man. And you know, and he's like, the Firefly Funhouse is not what it looks like. Bray Wyatt comes out, Rabbity Rabbit runs off, Bray turns up, Bray's like, let me in. And then the Fiend and oh man, this was awesome. This was really, really good. This really creepy as hell Firefly Funhouse kind of promo, and then that led to Dolph versus Finn. Both men had this was again a good match. Finn having a decent match again. Dolph Ziggler looking quite strong as well. Again, I'm not surprised. The match went on for a little bit until the lights went off. You can hear Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was on top of the ramp. Finn Balor's ready for him. Dolph Ziggler super kicks Finn Balor in the face. He gets the victory, and that's it. You know, Finn losing again. This could be quite interesting. I hope, you know, if the rumors are true and Finn's going to have a break from wrestling for a while so he can recuperate and everything like that, that's fine. But I don't want him to lose all the time he's on TV. But yeah, it made sense that Bray Wyatt would turn up that night on SmackDown Live, and Dolph Ziggler getting the victory. Cheap victory, but it gives good heat towards Dolph yet again. So I'm going to give this whole segment, the Dolph Ziggler interview, the Bray Wyatt Funhouse segment, and you know, the Dolph Ziggler Finn Balor match, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5 for them all. Next up we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ali. Again, this was very short. We didn't have much time left on the show, especially with a major main event happening and a major announcement as well. So both men were really on short time. You could tell it was short period of time because the match was probably about 5 minutes, but they put on a hell of a match. A few times it looked like Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win, but no, Ali got a good surprise win. I think everyone was like, oh, Ali beat Shinsuke. I was like, yeah, but it puts on a great, you know, it gives Ali a good title match, even if he doesn't win at SummerSlam. Because don't get me wrong, I really like this new Shinsuke Nakamura personality which we're getting. So, you know, either way, this is really good. Ali seemed a little bit more aggressive as well against Shinsuke. Shinsuke is, right now, he is one of the most silent heel characters, which is very dangerous. So, you know, he's building up really well, but it's like that, you know, that slow build where every match he's just getting more and more aggressive. And I think a lot of people were a bit worried about Shinsuke losing, but I think it made sense he would lose. He was very much in control of the match until Ali turned it on him. So for me, I'm going to give the match itself, even though it's 5 minutes, a 2.5 out of 5. I'll give them like 10-15 minutes at SummerSlam. Those guys, again, will put on a hell of a show. Then we had a Randy Orton like video package towards his match against Kofi Kingston. It was called Inside the Mind of the Viper, and this was like a build. It showed Randy winning the IC title for his first time, winning the heavyweight title, winning the WWE title, winning the US title, and like all these accomplishments. Randy Orton, he goes, I'm Randy Orton. All I've had to do throughout my career is be myself. Kofi Kingston had to pretend to be Jamaican, the happy-go-lucky fool, and finally, after I did him the favour of injuring Ali, and all I'm after is just a thanks. But instead, I'll just take the time. I thought this was a really good video package. I really like when they use like the stuff from Randy and Kofi back in 09. I like that they showed early Randy Orton to the new, the present Randy Orton, and how he's evolved from it as a character. And I thought it was one of the better video packages we've seen on WWE TV for some time. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. It really built up the Randy Orton character, because Randy hasn't had much he hasn't been on TV for a while, comes back, and now he's back in the title scene. So this really just goes, this is why Randy Orton is one of the biggest stars in WWE. So our main event for SmackDown Live was Kofi Kingston versus AJ Styles. Now, earlier on in the week, they did announce it to be the New Day versus the OC, and I'm glad they did change this just to be having the WWE Champion versus AJ Styles. And it really worked. Both guys just absolutely are fantastic athletes, and to be honest, the AJ Styles who's heel versus Kofi Kingston who's face does work. Again, AJ come back to SmackDown and win the WWE title, because I love it when you're a heel champion, but I'll take him being US champion for now. But yeah, this was a fantastic match. Both guys were just absolutely at it from start to finish. Then you had all the frequent interferences from the OC and the New Day as well. This match was a fantastic showcase of two of the best in the business as we speak right now, and hopefully we can see where this leads on to. Kingston and Styles are at their best against each other, and that's true. I really agree with that. I think some people say, there was a waste of potential between New Day and the OC, but I think this is. I think this is quite interesting, because obviously like Survivor Series, when we have Raw versus SmackDown, we could literally see the New Day versus the OC again, and I think it will work. But back to the match itself, again, like I said, there was frequently a lot of interference between two great teams, two competitors in this match, and it looked like AJ was about to win the match. Kofi hits a Trouble in Paradise again out of nowhere and gets the victory. I thought this was a great match. I think the teams involved were fantastic. I think AJ and Kofi just going one-on-one, without Xavier Woods and Big E and Gallows and Anderson. I think it made sense them being there. So for me, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Now, last but not least on SmackDown Live, we're meant to have a Roman Reigns announcement on who his SummerSlam opponent will be. He was about to do a backstage interview. He's walking down the corridor, and all this equipment fall on top of him. Luckily enough, doesn't get hurt. And Roman gets out. Some medics are there to check on him, but he's not having any of it, and he just walks away. And the question is, who tried to kill Roman? Most likely Samoa Joe. I did state that in the last video. It's most likely going to be Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. I think it's going to. Again, like I was talking to someone today about it, and I was like, they could really do something really cool with this. They could have, they could have like a legend return or an NXT superstar call up, like Ciampa. Ciampa would be good. But the problem with that is, my friend was saying, Ciampa's a great call up, and this could really, for me, work for him, trying to squash Roman. And I was like, yeah, but the problem is, if it is Ciampa and Ciampa is his opponent at SummerSlam, Ciampa's going to get squashed in his first big match, and you don't want to really do that with Ciampa. So for me, I'd rather have Samoa Joe get squashed again at SummerSlam than lose Ciampa, have his first match and lose it to Roman Reigns. So hopefully they do something like a legend return to win, a heel legend return, and that could be quite interesting. But we'll have to wait and see. Could it have been Brock Lesnar? Most likely not. But yes, for me, I'm not really going to score this because it was like there was like 2 minutes left of a show. It was like, oh, it's a question, but it is that silly WWE thing, which I think a lot of people did state it was. So I'm not going to score it, but it will be interesting to see who Roman is going to take on at SummerSlam. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown. Now I have to decide which show won for this week. Now I think Raw had a lot of great positives. You had Marie Kanellis win the 24/7 championship, which uber heel. No one's going to pin a pregnant lady unless it's our truth. I think the gauntlet match was absolutely fantastic. Brock Lesnar coming out and killing Seth Rollins twice in one night. Good. Becky Lynch going to the dark side a few times. Good. The Raw tag team title changes to the OC. Surprisingly good. So for me, I'm going to give Raw a 3 out of 5 stars. Now let's look at SmackDown Live for this week. Well, I think you had a good opening with, you know, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and, you know, Shane's opening video. That was really good, especially the KO and Drew McIntyre match. And Bayley being a little bit more aggressive, especially to Ember Moon, was good as well. Sami taking on Xavier Woods' challenge. Yes, I want to see that. Shinsuke versus Ali. Short match, but good. And Kofi versus AJ Styles. Fantastic. So what am I going to score SmackDown? Well, I think SmackDown's going to be a 2.5. I think a 2.5 out of 5. So this week's winner is Raw, but I think both shows have, again, 2 very good shows yet again for this week for the show, for both Raw and SmackDown. But what about you guys? Who did you think won for a week? Was it Raw? Was it SmackDown? Put it in the poll at the top. If you do like our videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and press that bell to keep notified. If you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalkYouTube. That's a U and a tube. If you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on Smack Talk Wrestling Reviews.